Welcome to the weather forecast on CIA TV channel. Dear friends, in today's forecast, we're going to break down what you need to know about the weather that's going to affect the United States over the next 7 days. We're going to be deep into the tropics, looking at the Western Caribbean, some rain that's building up and then moving back here, the Northern Bahamas, the Southeast United States. We're going to have some developments over the next 6, 7, 8 days. We've got some areas of rain and some thunderstorms. But the flood threat is finally going to be with us. And finally, a big change in weather is going to be happening across the United States. This winter looks very strange. In addition, severe weather is possible across the East Coast with strong winds, hail, and maybe even a few tornadoes. Now, a concern for some of the points around the southeastern United States back through the Western Caribbean as a weak tropical wave moves through. If it pushes into the Caribbean, the Bahamas, the Gulf of Mexico, and pushes through those areas of high heat content, that could help it strengthen quickly. And that would be a concern as we start to see a little bit more development. So we need to keep an eye on that, especially as the models are hinting at a little bit of development near the Bahamas and the southeastern United States and into the Western Caribbean. And of course, keep an eye on the tropical wave that's going to start to build up more later this month. So looking ahead, that's on Tuesday. Now, that tropical disturbance is going to start moving into the northeastern Caribbean. That's going to increase our rain chances Tuesday into Wednesday. Even Wednesday back into Puerto Rico and the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. Still active near the southeast coast of the United States. Tracking the Western Caribbean. As we head into Friday next week, you'll see some additional rainfall here with the tropical disturbance moving in over Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and rain accumulating in the Western Caribbean. So keep an eye on the Western Caribbean, Jamaica. Back to Bays to see if there's anything lifting up toward the Gulf, and keep an eye on the southeast coast of the United States. Keep an eye on the Corollas. And then as we head into the middle of the month, here's what I've been saying. These tropical waves will dissipate, but those dry pockets may not necessarily be there by mid to late month. Which means there's a higher chance that some of those tropical waves will form. Now, we've been tracking some showers and thunderstorms since last night. The US and British Virgin Islands. We've got some showers and thunderstorms around us as we go through the day. We'll keep an eye on that. And then you'll see the rain slowly picking up again. Scattered showers, Yucatan, Peninsula, Mexico, a little heavier, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, parts of Honduras, down into Costa Rica, Panama. Some of that rain and tracking into northern Colombia. And then as we head into tomorrow, scattered areas of rain and thunderstorms around us are still active in some of those same locations. The tropical disturbance that's really broken up is starting to get closer. So Antigua, Barbuda, Saint Martin, Saint Barts, Anguilla, back into the US and British Virgin Islands. And then finally, by midweek, we'll see the rain chances increase. You see, by Wednesday, the rain chances start to increase as the tropical disturbance moves in. And then you see the Western Caribbean Sea still very active with some additional rain. Same thing in the Bahamas. North through the Corollas, toward Florida and Georgia, the surf is going to start to pick up today. The seas are going to be very dangerous and the big swells. The surf and the rip currents are going to really threaten us as we head into Monday into Wednesday. And then by Thursday, you're going to see that area pick up a little bit to the north. And there's another system coming through the Great Lakes as you go back from Manitoba, through Ontario and Quebec. And there's a rain band that's hugging the coast of South Carolina and North Carolina. And then as the week goes on, we'll see if we get any storms that are trying to form near the Bahamas, Florida, back through the Carolinas and Georgia, Bermuda. We'll just keep an eye on how close some of these rains and storms are. Now, the seas are going to pick up a little bit. Caribbean, not bad. But as soon as this tropical disturbance comes in and the tropical wave actually comes in, that's going to cause the seas to rise. So as we head into Tuesday, the Atlantic sea lanes are going to get a little rougher. Look at all the rain that's tracking Freeport back into South Florida, picking up along the coast. We're going to see some spots get a couple inches, 4-5 inches. Some places get 100 to 125 millimeters. Scattered storms, Puerto Rico, British Virgin Islands and U.S. Virgin Islands. We had some showers last night and this morning near Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe. Some rain will be affected, but we will see the tropical disturbance move in on Tuesday. We will have some spots of about 25 millimeters of rain, Sabasia, St. Kitts, then back to Antigua, Barbuda, St. Martin, St. Bart's, then back here, Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vince, the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad, Tobago, maybe some light showers. Same as we go through Suriname, Guyana, northern Venezuela. But these are some spots of heavy rain. Some spots not so much. Same situation in Panama and Costa Rica. Other spots are completely affected with some spots of 150 millimeters of rain. Tracking Guatemala and El Salvador. And there could be scattered showers in some areas. Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, Honduras. We had some of that overnight. Looking at Nicaragua, San Andreas and Providencia as well as we head back into western Mexico. Some heavy showers even as you head toward Terry and look at South Texas. The chances of rain falling are higher. You see, towards Jacksonville, north through the outer banks of North Carolina, some of the rain could be just offshore, but if it's close enough, like coastal areas of South Carolina and North Carolina, we could get a few inches of rain over the next few days. So we're still active in Jamaica. So the areas to watch as we head into next week, keep an eye on the area close to home. The Western Caribbean, the Southeast and the Bahamas, and watch for the new tropical disturbance that's coming into the Caribbean. This winter could be one of the weirdest in years. Arctic winds, fierce snowstorms, and even severe weather outbreaks. This winter is likely to bring much more volatile conditions and intensity across the United States. The different impacts to the United States during the winter occur when the Pacific Ocean is warmer than average. This increases wetness and more frequent storms in the south. The risk of flooding along the Gulf Coast and California coast, and milder, drier winters in the north. It also tends to limit Arctic outbreaks in the Midwest and Northeast. La Niñas typically bring more winter storms to the Pacific Northwest and the northern Rocky Mountains, and they allow Arctic winds to flow into the Midwest and Northeast more frequently. We typically see a lot of variability with sharp swings between warm and cold, along with the potential for severe storms. This is because we've had some strong Arctic winds as a lot of strong cold air swept through the Midwest and Northeast, bringing in very cold air from Canada, causing some big winter storms. And we've had a really blanket of cold air coming down over most of the United States this winter because of a lot of Arctic winds blowing in from Canada. And note that in the Midwest, we've had below average temperatures in those areas. Back on the West Coast, we've had below average precipitation, leading to a major drought across California, Nevada, and even Oregon. However, there are some areas that have had above average precipitation and snowfall, including areas like the Great Lakes, where we've seen some big lake effect snowfalls. Additionally, the East Coast has had above average precipitation anywhere from Connecticut to Florida, with some heavy snowfalls occurring this winter. I think we're going to see below average temperatures, especially in the northern plains, the Midwest, and the Ohio Valley, where we're probably going to see a large area where we're going to have a lot of cold fronts that sweep through the region on a very regular basis, which is going to lead to below average temperatures. And I think we're going to have a harsh winter when it comes to cold weather, especially in the Dakotas and maybe even the Great Lakes. On the other hand, I think we're going to see above average temperatures actually farther north, where above average temperatures are possible across much of Florida, but also southern and central Texas and across the west coast. And I actually think we're going to see above average precipitation and snowfall across much of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast, when it's actually pretty dry across most of the country. I think the most important area that we're going to be watching for the potential for more severe weather outbreaks is going to be across the lower Mississippi River Valley, from Louisiana and Arkansas all the way west to South Carolina. And we'll start with what's going on across the country today. We still have a very strong northwesterly wind coming out of Canada, which continues to bring very cold weather into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, and then back along the west coast. This is where we have a big ridge that's forming right now across the Rocky Mountains, which is helping to keep things warm. As we get into the latter part of this week and early next week, the low-pressure system will move out and consolidate just north of New England, which will bring some cooler weather across New England. But eventually, we'll see this ridge develop further, and we'll start to see warm air build back up across the Great Plains and the Midwest on Wednesday and Thursday. Basically, it's going to bring very warm weather across the Great Plains, the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. By Wednesday and Thursday, that warm air will bring above average temperatures across the Northern Plains and Midwest. So this is still about 7 days, 8 days away. But I think severe weather could return in the longer term. We will continuously update the storm situation in the next news. Please subscribe to the channel to follow. Thank you for watching the news on CIA TV channel.